What's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back in the video today. And today we're going to be talking about my first impressions of rookie quarterback CJ Strouds, who made his rookie debut yesterday against the Baltimore Ravens, where the Houston Texans lost 25-9. CJ Strouds showed some promising things yesterday in the loss to the Baltimore Ravens, throwing 28 for 44 with 242 passing yards, 0 touchdown passes, 0 touchdowns on the day for the Texans in general, but 0 interceptions thrown. Now, he did fumble once, but it was a slip-up on the offensive line. But I want to go over some things for CJ Stroud in this game. This was a game where, CJ Stroud dealt with three starting offensive linemen being out, and he's going to have to deal with that for his first 4 weeks of his career. And against some good defenses as well. Next week they face the Colts, then they face the Jaguars, and then I'm very scared to face the Pittsburgh Steelers without, three starting offensive linemen. That's going to be, having to see C.J. Stroud go up against T.J. Watt in that Steelers defensive line without having three starting offensive linemen. That's going to be really hard to watch. But Stroud had a really promising game yesterday. Now, the first 4 drives looked rough. You had three and outs. You had a fourth down and I think it was fourth down and 2, fourth down and 2, fourth down and 3, something like that. That CJ Stroud was sacked on, and then the Ravens had good field advantage after that. It was kind of stupid for D'Amico to go for the fourth down, but it's whatever, because in that Ravens drive they didn't end up scoring. Steven Nelson ended up getting an interception. But the first 4 drives looked rough. CJ Stroud didn't look good. He looked like he was nervous. It looked terrible, to be honest. But after those 4 drives, CJ Stroud started getting a rhythm. His final 2 drives, they put 2 points on the board with 2 field goals, and he was managing 2 great drives, making good passes, converting third downs, and CJ Stroud was getting into a rhythm. He carried that on in the second half, only scored once, but you could see CJ Stroud was in a rhythm and facing a good defense in the Baltimore Ravens, and did really solid against them. Didn't throw any interceptions. Now, I will admit there were a couple passes that were close to being picked off, and he did throw more than any rookie quarterback did in yesterday's games. CJ threw 44 times, Bryce Young threw 38 times, and Anthony Richardson threw 37. Now, I know you're probably thinking that means probably the Texans ran the ball less than both of those teams. Yes, but not by that much. The Texans ran 23 times. The Panthers ran, I think, 32 times, and the Colts ran 26 times. So not that far off from the Texans. The Texans ran the ball 23 times, while the Panthers ran the ball 32 times, and the Colts ran 26 times. So, yes, Texans, CJ Stroud did throw the most out of all rookie quarterbacks, but the Texans did run the ball the least out of all 3 teams. But CJ Stroud did look good. He was connecting with wide receivers Nico Collins and Robert Woods, even Tank Dell a little bit. And he was converting third downs, and he was getting in a rhythm. I was upset the Texans weren't able to get in the end zone at all, but I still think CJ Stroud showed promising things. It was a rough start in the first 4 drives. He looked nervous. He looked terrible, to be honest. But at the same time, that was also playing against a good Ravens defense in your first couple of drives without 3 starting offensive linemen. But then he got in a rhythm. But still, this Texans team with penalties and offensive linemen being hurt still killed them in this game. And honestly, if they had a healthy offensive line in this game, I don't think the Texans would have won this game, but I think this game would have been closer. I think you would have seen a better game from running back Dameon Pierce if the offensive line was fully healthy. And I don't know. I think with some injuries to the defense, Jimmy Ward and Jalen Petrie being out, I think this would have been a little bit of a closer game if the Texans were healthier. And also, not only that, but penalties didn't kill this team. But penalties are going to kill this team. The Texans' offensive line penalties have been bad for years. Laramie Tunsil with holding and the amount of false starts we get, it's crazy. I mean, we get in first and goal situation, and either penalties or sacks will push us back to the 25-yard line. But I liked what I saw from CJ Stroud in his first game yesterday. I thought he showed some really good things. He was converting long passes, converting third downs, and I really liked what we saw from him in week 1 against the Ravens. I can't wait to see what we see from him next week. If he can do this against the Ravens defense in Baltimore, I want to know what he can do in Houston against Indianapolis. If CJ, I don't honestly. Here's how I feel about it though. If against the Colts next week, I think the Texans are probably going to run the ball a little bit more. You're going to see more carries for Dameon Pierce, maybe even a little bit more carries for Devin Singletary. So I don't know. I don't think Stroud throws the ball as much as he did next week against the Colts. I think it's certainly possible that he can get around the same passing yards next week against the Colts. But I think you won't see Stroud throw the ball as much next week. I think you'll see Stroud probably throw the ball around 30 to 35 times next week against the Indianapolis, because you're going to see more running plays going to Dameon Pierce and Devin Singletary, because the Texans only ran the ball to those two guys 18 times yesterday, and they only combined for 53 rushing yards. And this running back duo is supposed to be way better, but they're facing off against a good Ravens defense. Not saying the Colts aren't a good defense, but the Ravens are certainly way better than the Colts at defense. You guys let me know your thoughts on CJ Strouds' rookie debut. I really liked what we saw from him. Can't wait to see what we see from him next Sunday at home against the Indianapolis Colts. That's the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and peace out.